Okay, let's start. That is the brown algae, or it is called as the Phaeophyta. So first we discuss about its general character. So normally these brown algae are almost all are marine. The first very important point is that they are marine in nature. They all are marine. The very important point, that is they all are marine. Then these brown algae are multicellular and they are very long plant bodies. The plant body is very filamentous network and long. So these are called as scalps. So normally these are called as scalps, or these are called as seaweeds. The seaweeds means that the other name is called as algae. The algae other name is called as seaweeds, but these are called as scalps because they're very long. Got it? And now let's move it to the thallus organization. So in the thallus organization, we find filamentous type. It is in ectocarpus. We find parenchymatous type, that is fucus, laminaria, and sargassum. Or we find largest algae, macrocystis, is the largest algae that we call them as scalps. So laminaria is mostly also called as scalps. But the largest brown algae is called as macrocystis, 60 to 100 meter long, and is mostly present in the marine format, in the marine habitat. Got it? Because they are mostly marine, they are not terrestrial. So like we got three basic types of algae here is present. Got it? So these are the three basic types of algae. Here we find that the algae is not branched, and this is the leaf-like structure. So this leaf-like structure is called as the front. And here we find the stalk present. The stalk is called as the stipe, and the fixing part, that is called as the holdfast. But here we find what? It is branched. The frond is branched. And the frond is not only branched, they also contain small air bladders. And in between them we find a higher plants like leaf-like, that is midribs are found to be present. Small stipe is present with holdfast. And next we find, this is the very advanced part, and where we find the stipe is present, but the frond is profusely branched. The frond is profusely branched. Got it? The frond is, it is profusely branched. So we find three basic types of algae. The first one is called as laminaria, second one is called as fucus, and third one is called as dictyota. Got it? So the first one is called as laminaria, fucus, and dictyota. These are the three different types of algae present, brown algae. Now let's move into its differentiation, body differentiation. When we move in the body differentiation, we find the front, that is a leaf-like appearance present, that is called as lamina. And the lamina is the photosynthetic part, means the upper part, the broad part, this front part, this is the photosynthetic part. Got it? And we find the stipe. The stipe is the conducting part. It conducts, it helps in transport of water and minerals to the plants. It's the conducting part. And for attachment is the holdfast, the base part present, that is the attachment, that is the holdfast. So each plant body is differentiated into the photosynthetic part, lamina, into the conducting part, the stipe, and the attachment part, that is called the holdfast. Now let's talk about its pigment. The pigment that do helps in photosynthesis, because they are the algae, lower plants. So normally chlorella A is the universal pigment, as we all know, and in brown algae we find chlorophyll C. This chlorophyll C is for brown algae, and chlorophyll B is for, that is called as the green algae. And we find the beta carotene present. In addition to beta carotene, we find another pigment present for body coloration, that is for brown pigment, that is called as fucoxanthin. Okay, now let's move. Why brown algae look brown? Why they are brown in nature? Because the fucoxanthin is present more in number, and this fucoxanthin normally masks the chlorophyll compound, for which the fucoxanthin helps in providing body coloration. So it gives brown to olive green color. Normally this fucoxanthin is the main pigment that do provide the coloration for brown algae, that is from brown to olive green in nature. Okay, now let's move in stored food material. The stored food material is very important, that is called as laminarian and mannitol. Mannitol is the alcohol, sugar alcohol. Got it? And also it contains the laminarian, it is the beta-1,3-glucan polysaccharide. So laminarian chemical nature is beta-1,3-glucan polysaccharide, and mannitol is the sugar alcohol, and they do help in storage and transport. Normally in brown algae we find a special pigment present, special chemical present, that is called as phycocolloids. Phyco means, as we all know, algae, and colloids as different chemicals that do help in protecting them. Means these are water absorbing polysaccharide present on the cell wall. So suppose this is the cell wall present, suppose this is algae, and we find the cell wall is present here. In addition to the cell wall, we find a special pigment present, a special covering present, and this covering is called as phycocolloids. And these phycocolloids are polysaccharides in nature. And normally they contains chemicals like what? And they contains alginic acid, they contains fucoidine, they contains fucinic acids. So these are the chemicals deposited on the cell wall. Why? Now to protect them from water currents, to protect them from desiccations. Got it? So normally it do helps in protecting the algae from salt water, that is water current, and also from desiccations. So it's a very important polysaccharides present to protect the algae from marine water. What are the uses of phycocolloids? Normally these phycocolloids are used in a daily life, that is for making ice creams, for dental molds, and for paper making, and also other compounds are being used. But these are the most vital uses for phycocolloids in our daily life. Let's move into its reproduction. So when we move into reproduction, we find the reproduction again of three types: vegetative, asexual, and sexual. Vegetative is as usual fragmentation, and asexual is by means of spores. It is by means of spores, and zoospore is the most common mode of that is associated present because they are marine in nature. And here we find that normally the algae is pear-shaped, biflagellated and lateral flagella. So normally in most of the brown algae we find the algae is pear-shaped, means it is a pear-shaped structure. And as it is a pear-shaped structure, normally these algae are pear-shaped structure. And we find lateral flagella are found to be present. Got it? This contains biflagellated and the lateral flagella present pear-shaped. But in some algae we find unilocular sporangia present, the haploid spores present, where we find only one spore present, unilocular present. And also in some we find plurilocular sporangia present. Wherever unilocular sporangia are present, normally these unilocular sporangia are haploid spores and normally the plurilocular sporangia are diploid spores. So normally these particular group of algae do produce haploid spores as well as they also produce diploid spores. And the sexually represent as usual isogamous, anisogamous, oogamous. Isogamous, the gametes are same size. Anisogamous, the gametes are of different size. And oogamous, the gametes are one motile and non-motile. So fertilization between motile and non-motile. And normally these life cycle is normally diplohaploid. Means first they have 2N, then N. But fucus is the only brown algae which is diplontic in nature. Means most of the life cycle is 2N and less part is of N type. That is fucus. Now move on to the special points, special forms of algae. That is Postellacea is called as the sea palm. The other name is called as sea palm. Ice bloom is called, and Cyclonema is called as ice bloom. Gulf wheat or Sargasso sea, we find Gulf wheat present, that is Sargassum. And Laminaria is called as the devil's apron. So these are the special names given to the brown algae, some of the brown algae. And economic 70% of this particular brown algae is used as fodder. This is the food materials for other animals. And also they do contain alginates. Alginates means the phycocolloids. And these alginates are synthesized from Laminaria, fucus and macrocystis. And these alginates helps in making soaps, ice creams, polish, plastics, etc. etc. And also this Laminaria also helps in producing iodine and bromine. So these are its economic importance. So this is all about your brown algae. This is the last minute revision for your NEET classes. Hope you all enjoyed. Thank you.